Landing in Rome, AD 64, the travelers take a rare holiday. While Ian and Barbara are happy to relax, the Doctor and Vicky set off to pursue adventure. However, adventure soon finds Ian and Barbara too, as they are kidnapped by slave traders. And the Doctor's imitation of Maximus Petulian sees him taken to court of Emperor Nero, where he inadvertently plays a part in deciding the course of history. Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. Sci-Fi Fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on the channel for Doctor Who, my most beloved sci-fi series. This channel has multiple names. Most of the time, I call this channel Random Entertainment Channel. Random? Because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music, except for politics and religion. These are not entertainment. We want to have fun, laughter, and jokes on this channel. So no politics, no religion on this channel. Only fun entertainment. Oh, my throat. Random also, because we will broadcast on non-fixed time actually many different times. The reason behind this is that I want to meet as much people as possible in different time zones and countries, on different places. So that's the reason I do that, and I want to go with the flow. So actually, when I want to stream, I stream. And I have I have the opportunity to stream, I stream. Um, so you need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Yes, actually, it is enigmatic. It's mysterious. It goes all the way. It goes yeah, and that's like the Doctor Who universe is expanded and extended. Things are possible, canon, non-canon, whatever. Continuity, stories and episodes, things. So yeah, past, present, and future mixed together. This channel, yes, mixed together. So random entertainment channel also because we'll have no guests or different guests. It depends who wants to join me in the live stream or panel. If you want to join me in the live stream, feel free to contact me via YouTube. You can put a comment on one of my videos, and you can visit me on the Discord server, Random Entertainment Channel. Tag Doctor Who on Discord, and you'll find me very quick because I bump the server regularly. So if you contact me, we will look what is possible. It is also possible to invite me for your channel for a live stream or panel. Feel free to contact me for this because I'm available to contribute to your channel and to meet other people and to talk about our things that we are interested in. So feel free. So in summary, you are invited. And feel free to invite me. So the Discord server again is called Random Entertainment Channel. Tech Doctor Who Discord. So cheers, mate, and have lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. Today, yes, we do the first Doctor story with William Hartnell called The Romance. First, some general info about this story. The Romance was the fourth serial of season 2 of Doctor Who. It was the first story to have its main plot handled with strong comedic elements as well as dramatic. It was filmed in the same block as The Rescue, with the same production team working on both. The Romans saw the first use of stock footage for a cliffhanger, in this case, a lion. Part 3, Conspiracy, was broadcast on the same day as Winston Churchill's funeral, explaining a dip in viewing figures. David Whittaker was by this time seeing historical stories as liability. Despite this, The Romance was intended as one of 3 historical tales following the Spanish Armada and the American Civil War. It appears to have been Verity Lambert who convinced him and writer Dennis Spooner to script this story as a comedy, as a reference about time one. This was also the first time a major actor requested to be on Doctor Who. Here, Derek Francis was given the role of Nero, and he played it very well. So, okay, we will dive now into the plot. There are four parts in this story. Each episode 25 minutes. Every episode has its own name. So the story is called The Romans, but every episode has another name. And we go episode by episode. So if you are ready, then let's go. So spoiler alert, if you haven't watched this story yet, I highly recommend you to do that. And otherwise, you can decide for yourself to listen further to the pot. Okay, and then take some water, and then we will start. Okay, let's go. First episode of the story, The Romans, is called The Slave Traders. So, the four travelers materialize on the edge of a cliff. Before the doctor has time to take off again, the TARDIS falls from the cliff, crashing to the ground. A month later, the four friends are in Rome living in the lap of luxury. The doctor, Ian, and Barbara are content, but Vicky is beginning to tire of the life of a Roman and seeks adventure. As he talks to Barbara about the adventures she was promised, a man lurks threateningly in the bushes. Two women find themselves in a market, where they are seen by two suspicious-looking Romans, Didius and Sepseria. The men speak of some sort of crime they intend to do in the village. And the two women are over here talking about London by an old market stall owner. The two Romans bribed the woman for information about Barbara and Vicky. She states they spoke of London and have been in the area for the last month, house sitting for Flavius Giscard, who is away campaigning in Gaul. The two men set off with this information. As they left, so does an old liar player named Maximus Petulian. He does not get very far before he is attacked on the road out of the village and killed by the sinister man who observed Vicky and Barbara earlier in the day. Hello, Kem Kem. How are you? Yes, it's a very great story. Um, Hardle. Yes. It's indeed one of the historical stories in Doctor Who. It's very enjoyable. Yes. Back at the house of Giscard, the other travelers ask the doctor if they should go back and check the TARDIS, but the doctor says that the craft will perfectly safe without its being constantly checked upon. The doctor asks if they are getting restless and anxious to leave. Barbara and Ian state they are perfectly happy, but Vicky yearns for adventure. Spontaneously, the doctor states that he plans to leave for Rome as soon as he can, and that Vicky can come with him. When Barbara asks to come, the doctor reacts crossly, stating he doesn't need a nursemaid. As soon as the two are packed, they leave Ian and Barbara alone in the villa. Didius and Sepseria plot a siege on the villa later that night. As Ian and Barbara relax, they are set upon by the two men. The two friends put up a gallant fight, but Barbara accidentally catches Ian on the head with a jab, which was meant for Sepseria, and knocks him unconscious. Ian and Barbara are carried away by the two men. On the road out of the village, the doctor and Vicky come across the body of Maximus Petulian. They are surprised by a centurion who has his sword drawn. He notices the doctor's holding the old man's harp and asks if it belongs to him. When the doctor answers non-committally, the doctor states that he has been sent out to look for the lyre player by his master, Nero. Unable to resist the temptation, the doctor passes himself off as Petunian in order to meet Nero. The centurion leads him and Vicky away. Outside the villa, Ian and Barbara are tied up to a slave cart as they discuss how to escape. Barbara's primary concern is the doctor and Vicky not knowing where they have been taken and leaving on the TARDIS. Didius and Syria, who do business with a slave owner, wants to buy Barbara, but they refuse, saying that the woman will get a higher price in Rome. The man says he does not plan to go to Rome, but will take 3 men, including Ian. As Ian is led away, distraught Barbara is even more fearful now she's away from him. In the camp of the centurion, the assassin is summoned to the centurion, who berates him, saying that his orders were not carried out and that Petunian lives. He says that he will give the assassin one last chance and directs him to where the doctor is asleep. The assassin approaches the door with his dagger down. End of part 1. Episode 2 of the Romans, called All Roads Lead to Rome. The assassin attacks the doctor, who fights him off before Vicky comes in and tries to hit him with a vase, but he jumps out of an open window. After the doctor boasts of his abilities in fisticuffs, Vicky informs him that the centurion who brought them thus far on their journey to Rome has disappeared. The doctor rightly assumes that he is the reason for the death of the real Petunian in the recent attack. The doctor assures Vicky that they are to stay there on further night and then go on to Rome to meet Nero themselves. Vicky is unsure if this is a good idea, but the doctor persuades her. Meanwhile, Barbara has already been thrown in jail in Rome, awaiting an auction wherein she will be sold to the highest bidder. She is put in the same cell as a woman who has a bad cough and is clearly ill. And Barbara comforts her and speaks of Ian, who will come and save them. Ian himself is on a slave ship and has been for the last 5 days, manning the oars. He speaks to a friend he has made in the journey by the name of Delos. They have struck up a plan, and now they are near land. They try to put it into action. Delos plays dead, and he calls one of the slave drivers. However, their plan is seen to be fake, and they are forced to work twice as hard for the indiscretion. Back in the prison, Barbara is approached by a well-dressed man named Tavius, who wants to buy Barbara. He states that he will look after her. And when Barbara asks if this means she will get her freedom, he says that she will be still a slave, but a slave that is treated humanly. She turns this down, and when the guard comes around, Tavius offers to buy her directly. The guard informs him that she is to be sold at auction, and no amount of money will convince him otherwise. The guard gives Barbara a fine dress to wear for the auction, and when she asks what will happen to the other woman, the guard says that she's be given to the circus, as she is useless for auction in the state that she is in. And Barbara looks concerned. Ian's ship seems to have hit a storm, and as the slave driver forces the man to row harder in order to get to land, the ship starts to take on water. As it does, Ian and Delos break free and overpower the slave driver, but the ship sinks. Ian wakes on the beach alongside Delos. Delos states they are not far from the center of Rome, and Ian intends to go and look for Barbara. Delos offers to come with him, and they set off together. By this time, the doctor and Vicky have arrived in Rome and are looking around. Vic observes some kind of auction and asks the doctor what they are auctioning. The doctor sees that it is a slave auction and moves Vicky on so as not to explain to her what it is. As they turn and leave, they unfortunately fail to see Barbara, who has just walked to the podium. She's the first to be auctioned. After a few neglectful offers, the highest reaching 2,500 sesterces, Tavius arrives and bids 10,000 sesterces, successfully buying Barbara. He explains to Barbara that he is a representative of Nero, and after seeing that she was kind and beautiful when she was looking after the ill woman in prison, he bought her to serve under Nero. Barbara expresses her thanks but says she intends to run away. Tavius warns her against such an action, as an escaped slave is always sentenced to death. Barbara says she has to take that chance. Their conversation is interrupted when a messenger sends for Tavius, saying that Petulian has arrived. Tavius hurries away and meets the doctor, thinking him to be Petulian. Looking suspicious, Tavius explains to the doctor that the problem they have been sorted out and that he has been put in the apoditerium. The doctor goes along with this, not knowing to what Tavius alludes. Their conversation is interrupted by the entrance of Nero. Nero is introduced to the doctor and instantly asks the musician to play for him. The doctor says he would much rather hear Nero play first. Flattered, Nero does so, and the doctor copies him. Nero is flattered by this and says he will meet the doctor later for a further conversation. The doctor and Vicky explore and find their way to the apoditerium to discover that it was that Tavius meant. After some exploration, they find the dead body of the centurion that accosted them originally. Meanwhile, Ian and Delos arrive in Rome. However, it isn't long before they are rearrested and sent to the same prison where Barbara was held. They are informed that they are lucky, as usually escaped prisoners are sent to death, but instead they are to be trained as gladiators and fight for their survival. Delos and Ian wonder who they are to fight, and as they look out the window, they see many lions feasting on flesh. Oh. End of episode 2. Third episode in the story, The Romans, is called Conspiracy. It becomes apparent to the doctor that Tavius had the centurion murdered. He too is expected to fulfill some sort of action. He goes along with Tavius' demands as if he knows all about the plans but remains clueless. Nero decides the doctor must fulfill an obligation too and organizes a banquet in his honor at which he must play the lyre. He also talks a shine to Barbara and starts to pursue her romantically and literally, much to the anger of Empress Poppaea. She warns Barbara of Nero, stating she has been the empress for many years and does not intend to see a competitor take the role. However, when she sees Nero manhandling Barbara later, she decides more drastic action is to be taken. Meanwhile, Vicky has befriended the court poisoner Augusta, who informs Vicky that she is constant use as there's always intrigue going on in court. She also alludes to the fact that she feels her greatest calling will be one day to poison Nero himself. The doctor has taken Nero to a sauna to try to extract some information from him about the conspiracy in which the doctor appears to have embroiled himself. Nero knows nothing of this. He informs the doctor that he is ordered to play at the banquet tonight, much to the doctor's dismay. Vicky's conversation has been interrupted by Poppaea. As Vicky hides under the desk, she learns that Poppaea is jealous of a slave girl and wants her poisoned. As Poppaea takes Locusta out to show her the slave girl, Vicky climbs out from under the desk and switches the cups so that it will be Nero who receives the poison. In the banqueting hall, Nero is flirting with Barbara and gives her a gold bracelet, hoping for a kiss in return. They are interrupted by a servant presenting two goblets of wine for the pair. In another part of the hall, Vicky has informed a shock doctor that she has poisoned Nero as he and Popeye are an evil couple and she'll be stopped. He informs her that rewinding history is strictly against the rules of time travel, as Vicky stops Nero from drinking the wine. Nero is most thankful to the doctor for saving his life. However, Nero has a slave drink the wine to test it. Popeye is furious with the mix-up, which sees Barbara stay alive and thinking it's a mistake of Locusta's sent her to jail. Later that evening, at the banquet, Davies explains that all is in place for tomorrow. To the doctor, to which he responds cryptically. Doctor is soon called upon by Nero to play the lyre. The doctor explains to the cadet masters that the style of music that he plays is so fine and so delicate that only the most sensitive and cultured ears can appreciate it truly. He then proceeds to mime the process of playing the lyre, whilst the conceited masters pretend to be able to hear it. When the doctor finishes, his performance is met with wild applause. When he sits down, he explains to Vicky that it's similar to the Emperor's new clothes, a story which he claims to have given to Hans Christian Andersen. The reception given to the doctor has made Nero insanely envious of him, and he tends to give him his comeuppance. He rushes off to his room to change, but encounters Barbara and takes her with him. He explains that they are going to the arena as he has a plan, but also wants to see a fight to make him feel better. At the jail, Ian and Delos have been informed that they are fight each other to the death at the next fight. So Delos regrettably informs Ian that he will kill him if he has to, as some slaves are freed from captivity if they impress Nero in battle. Outside in the arena, Nero and Barbara are in place for the fight, and Nero explains to Caesarea that she wants Maximus Petulian to play at the arena. However, halfway during the show, the lions will be let loose on him due to the fact that Petulian is the only man in Rome to prove a larger spectacle than Nero. This conversation is interrupted by the arrival of the combatants. Barbara is shocked to see Ian as one of the gladiators. The two men fight. Ian disarms Delos but refuses to kill him. And they fight again and Delos disarms Ian. While Nero gives Ian a thumbs down, Delos raised his sword to cut off Ion's head. Oh, end of episode 3. Hello, entertainment creator. How are you today? How are you today? So, one episode to go. Yeah, I repeat it again. This story is called The Romans, but every episode of this story has his own name. So, with other stories, in the beginning of Doctor Who is more the case in this, that the stories has their own name. Uh, so, so the fourth episode of the Romans is called Inferno. Uh, there's also a story Inferno, and that is in the in the third Doctor story in John Pertwee era. But there's a story that is called Inferno, but there's also an episode that is called Inferno. And this episode is called Inferno, but it is a part of the story in the Romans. So, for the record, thank you. Okay. Um, take some water, and then we will go to the last episode of this story, the Romans. Inferno. Delos has a change of heart and turns on Nero, attacking him instead of slaying Ian. And Nero's guards fight with Delos and Ian, who manage to escape with Ian telling Barbara that he will come back for her. Nero overhears this and plans to use Barbara as bait to catch two renegade gladiators. Meanwhile, back at the palace, Poppy orders Tavius to dismiss Barbara, stating that she is a nuisance. When Tavius says that Nero is fond of her, Poppy slaps him. As he leaves the room, he comes across Barbara, who says that her friend Ian is coming to pick her up. Tavius states that he was under orders to let her go anyway, so all will be well. As they talk, Barbara notices that guards are being placed around the palace in order to wait for Ian. Tavius says he will find a way of smuggling Ian in safely. Barbara also mentions to Tavius that a musician by the name of Maximus Petulian is to be assassinated by Nero at the arena tomorrow and asks whether he could stop this from happening too. He agrees to do so. In another section of the palace, the doctor and Vicky have stumbled across the plans that Nero has made for New Rome. Tavius comes to them, warning them of Nero's plans. He also states that the assassination of Nero will have to be pushed forward to tonight. The doctor is bewildered by this, and Tavius alludes to the fact that Petulian was coming to Rome in order to murder Nero. A bewildered doctor states that he and Vicky must leave that night in order to avoid both his and Nero's assassinations. They are interrupted when Nero enters, stating that the doctor must play at the arena the following night. The doctor agrees. However, he is holding his spectacles at such an angle as to set fire to the plans of New Rome on the table. Nero is initially furious and says the doctor will be eaten by alligators, but then he realizes that by burning down Rome, he will be able to build his planned version. He congratulates the doctor for giving him this idea. Nero decides to set this plan in action that night. He summons a group of men to the palace. As they make their way in, Ian and Delos, who have been hiding in the bushes, join them in order to sneak past the guards. The men are informed that they will be paid handsomely to run through the town and burn Rome to the ground. As they are receiving this information, Tavius gets Ian and reunites him with Barbara. As the men run from the palace to wreak havoc, Ian and Barbara slip out with them to return to the villa, and Delos kills Caesarea with a torch. The doctor and Vicky have also escaped and are heading across the fields when they see Rome burning. Vicky makes the doctor realize that he has had an effect on history and inspired Nero to burn down Rome. This concept genuinely shocks the doctor as he realizes that this time traveling has an effect on Earth's history. Ian and Barbara arrive back at the villa first and change back into some more comfortable clothes. They soon fall asleep, only to be awoken by the doctor, who assumes they have been lazing around since his departure. He refuses to let the couple get a word in edgeways before heading off to the TARDIS. Once their Vicky fills Ian and Barbara in on their adventures, with neither of the party aware of how closely linked their two adventures were, and Vicky asks Ian and Barbara where they are going next. They answer that the doctor doesn't necessarily have full control of his ship, so the destinations are all but random. Vicky doesn't believe them and goes with Barbara to get changed. Ian approaches a puzzled doctor who informs him that something appears to be dragging them down to an anonymous planet. And that, my friends, is the end of this story, The Romance. I will name some cast members. The Doctor Who is played by William Hartnell. Ian Chesterton is played by William Russell. Barbara Wright is played by Jacqueline Hill. Vicky is played by Maureen O'Brien. Caesarea is played by Derek Sidney. Lydia is played by Nicholas Evans. Centurion is played by Dennis Edwards. Stallholder is played by Margot Thomas. Slave Buyer is played by Edward Kelsey. Maximus Petulian is played by Bart Ellison. Ascaris is played by Barry Jackson. Delos is played by Peter Diamond. Tavius is played by Michael Peake. Woman Slave is played by Dorothy Rose Gribble. The Getty Master is played by Garton Klauber. First Man in Market is played by Ernest Jennings. The Second Man in the Market is played by John Caesar. The Court Messenger is played by Tony Lambden. Nero is played by Derek Francis. Tichinius is played by Brian Proudfoot. Popea is played by Kate Patrick. And Locusta is played by Anne Triard. And there are some other uncredited casts, but yeah. That's some names. Some story notes. Good to have some things about this historical story. So this was the first story played for comedy as well as drama. Second thing is that all episodes exist in 60mm tele recordings. Third thing is that negative film prints of all episodes exist and were recovered by the BBC in 1978. Fourth thing is that telesnaps of this story are held by private collectors. The fifth thing is that it was original thought that Richard Martin would direct. However, it was agreed that Rescue and the Romans will both use the same production team, so they could essentially be made as a 6-part serial. Dr. Job therefore went to Christopher Bowery, who was also directing The Rescue, and Martin would instead direct the serial The Web Planets. Next thing is that Dennis Spooner's original deal was to spoof the film Cuyo Vadis. However, the cinematic release before the series broadcast of Carry on Cleo, which took inspiration from the same film, led him to choose the time of the Great Fire of Rome as his setting. Another thing is that the characters of Tigellinius and Cefsir were both expanded during rewrites of the script. And another thing is that in the original script, it was Cefsir who knocks in unconscious rather than Barbara. Another thing is that there was a final story on which Mervyn Pinfield would serve as associate producer. He would return to the series to direct the Space Museum. Another thing is that this story begins with the TARDIS crew having been in a villa for a long time, approximately 1 month, as indicated and explained in dialogue. Another thing is that the rescue leads directly into this story. Another thing is that this is the second story in a row in which the Doctor is giving a surprisingly physical fight sequence. In fact, his brawl with the Ascaris recalls similar fights involving the third Doctor, including the Doctor judo flipping his opponents. And as I was already saying in the beginning of the live stream, title of the fourth episode, Inferno, was later also used as the title of an entire third Doctor story, Inferno. Another thing that Doctor's line about the mountain mauler of Montana was an ad-lib by William Hartnell. Another thing is that the creation of Tigellinius the Cupbearer was in fact a late addition to the scripts. Originally, the Doctor saved Nero from being poisoned by accidentally knocking over Caesar's goblet. Another thing is that this director Christopher Barry hinted that the story went overboard with the comedy, and William Hartnell and Verity Lambert thought so too, later claiming that the audience disliked the comedy. Another thing is that Dennis Spooner was inspired to write a story because he lived near Jim Dale, who was currently starring in Carrie and Cleo, and went to some of the filming. Another thing is that Dennis Spooner had envisioned a different actor for Nero. But it was, yeah. I don't know that actor. William Hartnell felt at ease with his story, as it allowed him to perform some comedy, and it similarly became a favorite for William Russell, actually. So it's very important. It was one of favorites of William Russell, this story. I can understand that. Another thing is that Derek Francis was a friend of Jacqueline Hill and her husband, Alvin Rakoff. He had been promised a role in the series since it started. Another thing is that Edward Kelsey, who betrayed the slave buyer, was a long-term friend of Christopher Barry's, as the two had entered the television industry at the same time. Um, William Russell sustained a small cut to his left wrist while rehearsing a fight sequence. Another thing is that Jacqueline Hill missed rehearsals on 6th, 7th January to film sequences for the following series, Web Planet. Um, in the story, Nero was in real the real Nero was 26 at the time of the fire of Rome, and Dark Francis was 41. Um, the third episode of this story of the Romans, called Conspiracy, was recorded on William Hartnell's 57th birthday. So he had a birthday party during Conspiracy. Yeah. Okay. And then last thing, the continuity, because again, the universe with its stories and episodes are to some extent related to each other, are referenced to each other, linked to each other, and are from influence to each other. And yeah, every time I rewatch a story and episode, I discover new things and see new things. And it is always, as a fan, we see always also interpreted things, and we see some things linked. I have three things in continuity, and that is point one. After leaving Rome, the Doctor and his companions traveled to London in the early 20th century. Vicky did not consider it to be much more advanced than Nero's Rome. Barbara took offense at his remark. There's a link to audio story Starborn. Second thing, and that deals about the Ten Doctor, that's the Ten Doctor later told Donna Noble that he was not responsible, well, not exactly, for Rome burning. And then we see that in the TV story, the fires on Pompeii. And we see also there a role of with Peter Capaldi. He plays the 12th Doctor. And third thing is that there are two stories set in a month-long gap between the traveler's arrival and the main story. There's a thing in prose, Roman Cutaway and Byzantium. So, and that's, my friends, is all I have to say about this story. So, time for commercial. Sci-fi fantasy fans and all sort of fans, you are welcome, welcome, welcome. Meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music, and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who. Ooh. This channel has multiple names. Most of the time, it's called Random Entertainment Channel. Random because we discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random Entertainment Channel because we'll be broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. And the reason behind this is we want to meet so much people as possible because of the many time zones and many countries. So I meet much people as possible and serve people as much as possible. So that's the reason, and you need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. So go with the flow. So random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on to join me in live stream panel. If you want to join me in live stream, feel to contact me. You could put a comment in one of the videos, and you can meet me a Discord server, Random Entertainment Channel. And so we will look what is possible. Feel free also to invite me for your channel. I'm available for a panel in your live stream. I want to contribute. I want to meet you. I want to make new friends and companions. And I want to talk about things we are interested in. So, in summary, you are invited to take place at the seat next to me. And feel free to invite me for your channel, for in a panel, to talk about things we love. So a Discord server is called Random Entertainment Channel. Tech Doctor Who on this morning found me very quickly because I bump the server regularly. So cheers, mate. Have lots of fun. Your host, Enigmatic Joker, to serve you. Okay, I'm looking forward to meet ya. Have a nice day. Bye bye. Bye bye.